My question is to the Treasurer. I refer to the government's increase to the migration program to 1.8 million people over 5 years. Will the Treasurer guarantee it will not go higher than 1.8 million?
Order. The member for Moreton is warned. The Leader of the House has the call.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. So good to get a question from them on net overseas migration, because if there is ever a gap between their rhetoric and what they've done, it's on this issue. It's on this issue. The latest figures that came out only last week showed a 31% fall in net overseas migration year on year. A 31% fall. And what measure that what had been a particularly fast-growing area of net overseas migration had been student visas. The government's action on student visas also a 31% fall. A 31% fall. But when we put that measure to the parliament, which way did they vote on student visas? They voted for student visas to be unlimited. Well, this government's taken action. Oh, you don't like it, do you? It's terribly sad. But it's the record you're responsible for.
Order.
And there's a lot more to come.
Order.
There's plenty more to come.
The Leader of the House. Order. We're just going to do this in an orderly fashion. I'm going to hear from the manager, who's entitled to raise a point of order. So we'll deal with his point of order, and then we will rule on that and work through back to the minister. Okay?
Let the peacock parade continue.
Oh, the Leader of the Opposition.
Sorry.
You know, fair go. We don't need anything ever like that said. The manager of Opposition on a point of order.
Thanks very much, Mr Speaker. The point of order is on relevance. In an environment of record high migration, it's fair that we ask a very tight question about the government policy. We've seen in successive budgets the budget amount of migration and the actual amount vary quite significantly, with much higher migration in reality than what is budgeted. The question is therefore very tight about whether the government guarantees that the 1.8 million migrants that they budgeted for won't be exceeded.
The manager's made his order. The manager was given a bit of licence there, but he knows that's not the normal approach, but he's entitled to have his say. I was listening carefully because it was a tight question, but the minister was giving facts and figures around net migration. He wasn't. Well, he was giving information about net migration. If he strays off into alternative approaches or policy, which he wasn't asked about, we'll deal with that. But while he's giving facts and figures, I don't know what he's going to say in terms of net migration, but he is talking about that and being directly relevant. I know you wanted an answer about a guarantee. I can't get him to do that. But while he's giving numbers and facts and figures to the parliament, he is being directly relevant. So he has the call.
Thanks, Speaker. And of course, with net migration, the key driver that any government has over it is how many visas you issue. How many visas you issue. So there are some visas where we've taken action, like we have with respect to student visas, action which they voted to make unlimited. Other actions we've taken, for example, we got rid of the golden ticket visa, one of the things that would feed into net migration figures. The golden ticket visa, the one that we previously described as cash for visas, something that the Leader of the Opposition wants to bring back. But the overriding control you have in immigration is how many visas you issue. Now, in terms of the concept of record highs on that input, it has only happened twice in Australian history that a Minister for Home Affairs or Immigration has issued more than 9 million visas. It's only happened twice. It wasn't myself as Minister. It wasn't my predecessors. Who possibly would have issued more than 9 million visas 2 consecutive years? No one else has caught up with this record.
The Leader of the House. Order. Members on my right. The Minister for Health, the manager on a further point of order.
Yeah, point of order is 91C. You were very clear in your direction to the minister. He's now willfully ignoring your, I think, quite direct suggestion, Mr Speaker, and he should come back to the question. It was very tight. It was about the 1.8 million migrants in the budget.
Yes, and the minister is talking about that. I don't know what he's. I can guess where he's going to go with this. But I'll just ask the minister one more time to make sure he's being directly relevant in terms of the figures that he's referring to, and he'll need to make it relevant to the question he was asked about the 1.8 million figure in this budget.
Yeah, and Mr Speaker, the biggest driver for any minister of net overseas migration is the number of visas they issue. No one has ever issued more visas in Australian history than the Leader of the Opposition when he held this portfolio.